Thank you, everybody. As Elias said, my name is Michal ben Shachar. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to Bar-Ilan University. I'm here in my capacity as the head of the Interdisciplinary Studies Unit. This unit hosts a wide range of research and study programs, including the program that initiated and runs this conference, the Science, Technology, and Society program. Other programs in our unit include gender studies, hermeneutics and culture studies, conflict resolution, and the brain science program. The way I see it, the best thing we can do for the faculty members and affiliated researchers within our programs is defined by what we don't do. We don't ask them to choose a discipline. Do no harm. Most of us in this unit, myself included, pursue a program of research that is at the interface between 3 or 4 different disciplines. For example, literature, philosophy, and clinical psychology, or sociology, medicine, policy, and political science, and so on. My job is to let these individuals do their research without enforcing one set of standards and methodologies from a given field over the others, but all the time making sure that we are still doing cutting-edge, deep, rigorous, excellent science. The interdisciplinary approach is critical when we study multifaceted topics like aging. In my own domain of study, neurobiology of language, we know that if we want to assess the effects of aging on language and on the language pathways in the brain, we should take into account multiple aspects beyond a person's age. For example, when we age, we have difficulties in what we call lexical retrieval. Some of us might have experienced it ourselves. It becomes harder for us to retrieve the names of familiar people or familiar objects, even though we know exactly how to use these objects. We have a pretty good sense of who these people are. It's still difficult for us to retain their names. Interestingly, when we test for recognition rather than retrieval, we see that the vocabulary doesn't degrade with age. In fact, older adults sometimes outperform younger adults in vocabulary tests, as long as we don't test word retrieval. But this is also an oversimplification because we need to know many other factors to predict the effect of aging on language. Years of education, gender. Most importantly, we should identify how many languages the person speaks and which languages they are. This is a very debatable topic, but some studies show that multilingualism, knowing 2 languages or more, contributes to cognitive reserve and delays age-related decline in specific cognitive skills, including the ability to switch between tasks, inhibit irrelevant responses, and so on. So education, gender, language background, multilingual exposure, cultural factors, cognitive factors, all play a role in determining the relations between aging and language abilities. And different aspects of language are affected differently. We need to take into account all this complexity when we look for brain pathways that are important for language maintenance during aging. And even when we do this, eventually, when we plot language measures versus brain measures, we always find huge individual differences. In other words, there are still multiple factors that cause variability, and we still don't understand. You might say that's what makes us human, individual differences. Notice that I didn't say anything about AI to this point, and I'm sure there will be plenty of that in the coming talks, but I prefer to highlight the human aspect rather than the artificial aspect. Before I close, I want to thank Dr. Elias Tambler and Hanan Tal, initiators and organizers of this conference, and I also want to thank Dr. Noam Yoran, head of the Science, Technology, and Society program, who'll speak after me. And I really want to thank Shiran Achrak, who worked hard to make this conference happen. Shiran is here, outside, or here. Yeah, let's give it for Shiran. I want to thank you all for bringing your curiosity and expertise to this place, and I wish you all a very interactive conference with a good ratio of content to speech. Enjoy.